So that's it. I was like, I'm for sure quitting after the series. Because he said it would get easier after the series, but I was just so done. I'm like, I'm so sick of getting used. And he said a lot of stuff in the beginning. Like, he said, he made it seem like I would get a third of the advertisement deals. He also said, or he joked about laughing and saying I didn't deserve a raise the first time I asked him, if you remember. He was, what'd you think I'd say, that you don't deserve a raise? And then here it was, a couple months later, that's exactly what he's saying. That's why I was afraid to ask him the first time. So I was like, alright, yeah, after the series, I'm done. So, it gets towards the end of the series, and he calls us all to his house, because he wants to talk about the video of him fleeing the country. And in my head, I'm thinking, because at this point, Kat is now at my house. And in my head I'm thinking, this better be more than just saying, show up at my house at such and such time on this day. Because if that's all it is, you could have just texted me that. And then literally like an hour or two later, I finally leave. Like the only information that I needed, because what he talked about was like, who's going to carry my suitcase, who's going to carry his suitcase, because we're going to be filming. But the only information I needed was, show up at my house at this time, which is exactly what I was afraid of. So then I'm pissed about that. I'm like, this, why didn't he even just text me that? Why did he need me to come over and sit there for a couple hours just to tell me, show up at my house at, noon on Sunday or whatever it was? So then I was again pissed, because I was already pissed about getting underpaid. Or, well, in my mind I was getting underpaid. So then I get home, and I'll admit, I was a douche. I was a douche here, and I regret it. But at the same time, one, I feel he kind of had it coming, because he was a bit of a douche to me throughout the series. And two, I literally hadn't made up my mind till I told him. So I get home, I legit packed my suitcase, and then I think it was still a few days before we left, and then it comes up to the night before we're leaving, and I have my suitcase packed, ready to go, and he calls me. I remember this, he called me, and I remember looking at my phone and thinking, mother fricker, like, he needs me to do something. I was like, we're supposed to be doing nothing today. And he frickin', like, I'm playing League of Legends with my girlfriend. And I'm like, son of a, like, I'm having a good time playing with her. And now he's gonna need me to do something. And I was like, I remember I was not happy about this. So I picked up the phone. And I was like, what? And he I'm pretty sure he was like, corn? And I was like, yeah, what? Because I was not having it, because I thought I was coming to do more stuff. And he was like, are you ready? And at that point I'm like, damn it. Am I ready for what? He needs me to do work, and I don't want to do work right now. And I was like, for what? And he's like, well, it's the end of the series. We're about to be in Switzerland, dude. We're going to be, drinking together and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, that's what he meant. So then I tried to change my attitude a little bit. I was like, oh, yeah. It's going to be great. Because, in my head, at this point, I was still planning on going. So, then we hang up. And it's where me and Kat and I, whatever, are just about to go to bed. And then Kat is obviously upset. And she starts crying a little bit. Because she doesn't want me to go, Now she's going to be in the house for a week with my family, because she, just met. It's going to be awkward. And, we were hitting it off pretty well, so she doesn't want me to leave. So she is upset and crying. And, I didn't want to go on this trip anyway. And part of the reason was a little bit of a spite thing, because another one of the reasons Jesse wouldn't give me a raise, because he's like, I'm taking you on this trip, man. So it was just like, I don't even want to go on the trip. Like, it's not like, you know, a vacation, it's still semi sort of like a business trip for me because, you know, we're still filming and stuff. I mean, we weren't going to film much at all. I mean, it was just, it wasn't a trip that I chose to go on, you know, like I would have rather had more money so I can spend the money where I want to go. So I didn't want to go anyway. And here she is crying, she doesn't want me to go. I'm just like, so I'm like, you know, it'll be okay. You know, I'll be back in a week. It'll go by fast. You're going to be doing stuff with my family because they had stuff planned. So she's like, yeah. And then we go to bed. And then next morning I wake up and it's like 2 or 3 hours before I have to go to Jesse's, and I'm just like thinking in my head. I like look at Kat, and then I like look at my suitcase, and I'm like, I can't do this. It's like, I don't want to do it. Why would I do it if I don't even want to do it? So I start writing up a text, you know, in the notepad, of that I'm not going on the trip, you know, And then I wasn't ready to send it yet, because I still wasn't sure that I wasn't going. I was just like pretty sure. I showed it like to my parents, and they're like, sounds good to me. And then I showed it to Kat, and she's like, that sounds good to me. And then I'm pretty sure I read it again, and I'm like, oh. So I'm like, oh, he's probably not going to be happy about this, obviously. And I feel like a dick. Camera cut off again. So yeah, I'm like, he's going to be pissed. I'm going to feel like a dick. Because that was a dick move. And I'm sorry for doing that. But I literally hadn't decided till just then. So then I hit send. Then I was nervous. Because I'm like, he has to send a text or something. Because like I said, he's good at talking. So I figured he was going to try and talk me into going. What I really thought he was going to do is I thought he was going to like drive to my house and be like, what the heck, man? And try and get me face to face. And then like maybe half an hour, maybe not even, I don't remember how long it was exactly. He just texted me and said, okay man, I understand. I wish I had a little more notice, but I understand. And then he said, we'll talk when I get back. And that was it. I was like, oh, okay. So then, he gets back, and he asked me to come over. And he's like, so we're done for good? And I was like, yeah, I think so. I was like, I told you what I'm making isn't enough. And I meant it. He's like, alright. So then he gave me all the money he had owed me, because he, you know, we were like backed up a month, and he always paid me like a month behind, because that's like how YouTube pays you. So just all the money that, you know, he owed me, he gave me. And and I was getting ready to leave, and he's like, oh, well, it was a fun ride, and, you know, he hugged me, and I wasn't pissed at this time, so we hugged. And then I walked out the door, and I was a little upset. And I remember getting home, and my parents and Kat, they saw me, and they were like, are you okay? Like do you regret quitting already? And I was like, no. And like, I was literally just upset that like my friend just didn't seem to care. Didn't seem to care that I thought he was treating me like a douche. And I expected more. I was just hoping that when quitting was on the line, he'd be like, oh, you know, I don't, and just maybe he would just give me a raise, because it's like, oh, I like working with him, and we're friends. And maybe he does deserve more. I said he deserved more at one time, but that wasn't the case, so then I was upset. So, also before I left, I remember he asked me, he was like, well, are you going to be in the dock? And I was like, I don't think so. So then, wouldn't you know it, time for the doc comes. It's time to film the doc. And does he text me? Nope. Yeah, I don't know why. I think he was trying to be a little manipulative. So instead, he got the guy that was filming the doc to text me. And I was a little bitter about that, because I'm like, really, you couldn't even ask me yourself. You had to get somebody else to do it. And now maybe it was this guy's idea and Jesse had nothing to do with it. But I mean, he had to at least get my number from Jesse. And I'm pretty sure Jesse probably had some input on him texting me. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just what, I thought happened. And the guy was like, blah, 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 we're filming the doc. I just want to do an interview. It doesn't even have to be here. It can be at your house. I think it'll help your channel. And I told him, no. I was like, I'm not really in the mood to help Jesse out right now, because I feel like he was kind of a dick to me. So, I don't feel like doing it. He's like, oh, no problem. I understand. Like a day or two later, he texts me again and says, oh, if you want to do this, we'll pay you, I think it was like $500 to do an interview. And, at this point, I was still just upset with the way my friend treated me. So I was like, no. I was like, I'm still upset, and $500 just isn't enough. So no. So he's like, okay, tell me if you change your mind. And then, I forget exactly what happened. I think Jesse called me and said like, oh, we've been friends for a while or something, and can you help us with the doc? Blah blah blah. And I just ignored it. I was like, no, because he left a voice message. I think something like that happened, and I was like, no. So I ignored it. So then the doc finished, and it was like a few weeks later, somewhere around 3 weeks later, and Jesse did call me again. So at this point, I was at the boardwalk with my family and Kat, so I didn't pick up because, the boardwalk's pretty loud. So he leaves a voicemail, and in this voicemail, he was still saying stuff like, because I listened to it later. After he called me with the voicemail, I texted him and said, I'm at the boardwalk, I'll call you back later. So then I listened to the voicemail when I got home, and he was like, oh, we're good friends, I think this is really awkward that we're not talking, something like we should talk and hash things out, I think it would be good for us. My family has been wondering where you're at, the fans are wondering where you're at. And then, I don't know, something about the message. And I showed it to, I let my parents and Kat listen to it, and they agreed. Just something about the message still sounded like he was literally just saying this stuff to try to get me to talk so he could film it and put it in the doc. I could be wrong, but that's what it sounded like. And I was like, if he's really just saying this stuff so that I'll talk for the documentary, like, who does that? So, I mean, I could be wrong. He could have just meant it and just wanted to talk, but I mean, I don't know. So then I said, so I just texted him, because I was like, all I want is to talk about the doc. I don't want to talk about it. And I remember I was going to go out with Kat to go play Pokemon Go. We were going to Glassboro because we were both running low on items. So I was like, I'm not calling him. I want to go. I want to go to Glassboro. I want to do stuff that I want to do. And, I'm done doing what he wants me to do. That's why I quit. So I texted him and said, I don't remember exactly what I said, like, I'm disappointed and upset just with the way you acted and the way you treated me. And, you know, I'm not saying I don't want to be friends, but I'm definitely not ready to talk about it right now. And then he said something, and then I was like, or maybe this was all my first text, where I was just like, I mean, you literally laughed in my face when I asked you for a raise, which is something that you kind of joked about doing the first time I asked you for a raise. And then you say that anybody can do my job, and like, out of all the videos I did, he said good job to me maybe like twice. And all the other videos were pretty much just like, it was okay, it was fine. And it pretty much sounded like what he meant to say was like, sorry about that again, my camera died. So yeah, what it sounded like to me, what he really meant was, if I could have filmed it, I would have done a better job, you know, him. And I was just like, you know, it was annoying hearing that over and over again. So yeah, I said that like, you know, he laughed at my face, blah blah blah. And then he actually did send a text, a pretty lengthy one, and he did apologize. He was like, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like you weren't needed. You did a really good job on so many shots. You know, and he, you know, it was pretty lengthy. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was pretty lengthy, and he did apologize and say, I'm sorry. And I don't know, it's just, like, at that point, I was still pretty mad. You know, I felt like I was just pretty much like a pawn in his chess game that he was just trying to move forward on. And I was, you know, tired of getting used by him, and then I was, like, upset with the way he acted. So I really wasn't ready to hear it yet. So I don't think I replied to that. Or maybe I said thanks. I might have said thanks. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. Then the doc finished, and, yeah, we haven't said anything since he apologized. And I don't really know where I'm at now, but that doesn't really matter. So, bottom line is, since you guys want to know why I quit so bad, I mean, you kind of heard the whole story. To me, he was acting like a dick, and just kind of was like, all he cared about was the Psycho series, and he didn't care about anybody else's feelings. It's just what it felt like. And I wasn't getting paid enough, because it was, you know, no days off, no not being able to plan, because no, like, schedule, and just no, like, I'm getting older, like, I need a job that I can rely on, and that, you know, I'm gonna get a raise in, and eventually get a promotion or whatever, and this job was just looking more and more like, you're just gonna be making this much forever until Jesse doesn't need you anymore. So you're just waiting around for Jesse to improve and get a better job, and then you're done. And then, so, I mean, let's say it lasts like 5 or 10 years before he gets like an acting job. Well then, well, now I'm like 30, and I'm unemployed, and I have to start over at 30. And I was just like, that's not the way I want my life to go. I was like, either I needed to work my way up with him, making more money, or but since that wasn't going to happen, I needed to, I needed to leave, and I just felt that that was what was best for me. Because even though he said it was going to get better or easier, like I said, he said that stuff was going to happen in the beginning, and it didn't happen. Like the raise. For the raise, we signed a contract for that, like I think it was a separate contract, or maybe it was just an addition to the first contract. And yeah, we both signed a contract, and then when he wanted to take it away, that contract just disappeared because it wasn't notarized, so it wasn't really official, and I didn't think we needed official documents because we're friends, and I didn't think, my friend was going to screw me over, so I trusted him. And yeah, then that contract just disappeared. So there's definitely stuff that he said was going to happen in the past that didn't happen. So then I was like, I don't know if I should believe him when he says that it's gonna, get better. So, you guys can call me greedy if you want, because I wanted more money, which I did. I'm not denying it. I wanted more money. If he had given me more money, I would have stayed. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was best for me, and I can make what I was making with him at another job. Like if I just stayed with the prison, they gave you a raise every year. So, and I would have been with them for over a year now. So I would have gotten a little raise, and I think I probably would have been making close to what I was making with him, and then after another year, then I would have been making exactly what I was making with him, but I would also be getting benefits, I would also have days off, and I would just have a bunch of other stuff too. And I would have something that I could put on my resume that actually had credibility for other jobs if I wanted to move to other jobs. Putting that, I filmed videos of my friend for YouTube. Most companies are going to look at that and be like, how does that help you with the company we're in now, So it just didn't seem like the best thing to put on a resume, which is just another negative of it. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole story. I think if you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know. I can answer more questions in another video if you guys have enough. Yeah. Yeah, money, and he acted like a dick. That's the short summary. And he said stuff was going to happen that then didn't happen. So then I felt like I just couldn't really trust him with stuff he was saying anymore. And that's why I quit. I hope you guys are satisfied, and I hope you finally stop asking me. And, like I said, if you have any more questions, if I get enough more questions, I'll do another video answering questions. But for now, I hope this guy's answers at least most of the questions that you had, and I'll see you next time.